They say where there's smoke, there's fire. And where there's fire, there are these guys. I'm talking about firefighters. More specifically, these guys, Pete and Daniel, the heroes of this video game. It's called the Firemen. This is the Firemen, a game made for the Super Famicom. The Firemen is a top-down disaster game, developed and published by the now defunct Human Entertainment. It was released only to Japan, Australia, and Europe in 1994, as the publication was passed on by the United States. Some contribute the reason being that a firefighting theme would be too mundane. But it did bear some resemblance to the '94 title, Ignition Factor, that was released in North America for the Super Nintendo. In 1995, a sequel called The Firemen 2, Pete and Danny, was released in Japan for the Sony PlayStation. It included a 2-player mode and was set in an amusement park. Unfortunately, it didn't see a European release, and many believe this title was a rushed, unpolished version of the original, despite its new setting and storyline. This title was the second disaster-themed game released by Human Entertainment. The first one being SOS, a game centered around you escaping a sinking ship known as Lady Crithania. The Firemen is set in the future of 2010, and civilization has progressed in the last 20 years. Keep in mind it was 1994 back then. A chemical fire has erupted inside the Microtech office during a Christmas party, and it's up to our two protagonists, Pete Gray and Daniel McLean, to knock the blaze down using an unlimited fire extinguisher, some water, and Daniel's fire axe, as well as rescuing civilians and removing the volatile chemical known as MDL from the basement before it explodes. Since then, many collectors have considered this game an underrated title by an underrated developer. Unfortunately, like I said before, Human Entertainment closed their doors in 2000, leaving us with such titles as Fire Pro Wrestling, Monster Party, and the Clock Tower series. As of late, many hackers and repro makers have been releasing English translated versions of this game to be played on the Super Nintendo. That's development and story in a nutshell. So, is this game as hot as many collectors claim it to be? Well, let's pop this son of a bitch in and find out. Smoke fills your screen as you step into the biggest firefight of your life. But you're given a sense of ease as you're paired with your loyal partner, Danny. As you progress, the danger becomes more imminent as the fire begins to take over the entire building. You know that Danny and you are the only ones standing between the victims and the danger that is arising. After all the experience Pete and Danny have been through, you feel the danger and urgency as this may be their biggest one yet. Bright colors mixed with a hazy smoke screen greet you as you plunge deeper into the inferno, hoping that you and your partner make it out alive and save everyone you can. It's quite an exhilarating feeling coupled with excitement. I'm going to start off by saying that the gameplay by far is one of the best I've experienced. The programmers left no stone unturned. Your mission is simple: navigate through the inferno, putting out as many fires as you can on your way to the boss fire. You're given 3 modes of attack. You can use your fire hose as jet stream, or for ground fires, you can put them out with a shower. In sticky situations, you can also use water grenades that put out multiple fires at once. Be careful though, as you have a limited amount of grenades in your inventory. The best thing you have at your disposal is Danny. The AI is crisp, and he's always right there to snuff out a fire for you, as well as making a path for you by kicking debris out of the way. When you're close to a civilian, you have a heartbeat monitor to guide you closer to them. Once you find them, Danny will assist them to safety, as well as refilling your health bar. There's a lot of dialogue between segments, and it breaks up the fast-paced gameplay. This kind of ruins the flow, but once it's over you can continue progressing. You only have 10 minutes to complete a level, and once it runs out, the game is over. Don't be concerned about getting lost, as you have a mini-map and arrows to guide you. Overall fun factor is high. You are constantly kept on your toes as the fire progressively gets worse. But it's not to the point it becomes too much for you to handle, as you and your partner can double team most of your enemies. There's a lot of fun and satisfaction that comes with snuffing out the fires. The game's main objective and enjoyment keeps you pushing forward more into the raging blaze. Levels are a pseudo-open world. Though you have a majority of free roam and different paths, you're always guided to follow the main path that leads to the level boss. Nothing is wrong when it comes to the overall design and programming. You don't find yourself getting stuck on edges and walls, and the game even gives you an X-ray view if you're under an overpass, just so you can still see your sprites. They left nothing to chance, and you won't end up complaining about the levels being too unorganized or cryptic, everything is well placed and obviously tested to ensure playability. In addition to playability, you'll be given hazards such as exhaust fans that blow you across the floor or rupturing gas lines that force you to time your movements. Even doors will randomly explode as the fire becomes more aggressive. Sometimes you're forced to crawl under hazards, leaving you vulnerable to enemies. But again, everything is well placed and you won't be unfairly blindsided by anything. One of the biggest strengths this game has is the environment. It's so full of life and excitement. There's so much to say about it, and I can't find the words to describe how awesome it is. You feel like you're in the middle of a firestorm. The more you progress, the more danger arises as the building begins to fall apart. Moments when things begin to shake and deteriorate immerse you more into the game's atmosphere to the point that you can actually smell the smoke. Oh, wait!
Oh no!
Majority of the enemies you'll come across will be the various types of fires, all with their own attacks and patterns of movement, as well as different ways to dispatch them. As you continue, other types are actually flaming robots that are malfunctioning. When killed, they explode, so keep your distance. More enemy types start appearing with each level you complete to keep the gameplay fresh. One thing I enjoy with these enemies is that they actually damage the level as they burn holes into carpet and damage walls. When it comes to boss fights, every boss has their own weakness and attack pattern. No two bosses look, move, or act the same. Some bosses even have different stages of difficulty, while some only have one. Others don't really attack, but control your movements, while environmental attacks are the ones dealing you damage. This game has its moments of challenge, but the difficulty is quite low most of the time. You rarely get overwhelmed by enemies, and they don't deal much damage if you get hit. Well-placed shots from your fire hose easily dispatch them, and with your partner, any enemies you miss are snuffed out quickly. I honestly had to kill myself on purpose just to see what happens after you die. Even after that, you're given 3 continues to work with. I probably could have gone way further into this game if I had more time. Visually, this game is stunning, which seems to be a hallmark for Super Famicom games. Graphics have a mixture of a light-hearted cartoonish feel and a dark and gritty background. Sprites have amazing animation and detail. Even the water has a decent amount of care put into it. And for once, I'm not upset about the large sprites due to the fact that the levels are tailored to the size. Enemies too are filled with detail and have a lot of frames in their movement. Even the smoky filter over the screen has a nice bit of flair and adds to the world's design. Plus, I enjoy the anime art style.
There isn't much to the controls. They aren't stellar, but they aren't sloppy either. In fact, they're just right, coupled with tight movements and decent response time. For this game, the controls are exactly where they need to be. No more, no less.
Audio-wise, this game gets another good mark. It's not the strongest aspect of the game, but it's very good. Every sound is unique to the action on screen, and you aren't left wondering, what was that noise? Music has a nice fast tempo and matches the action on screen. Of course, this game is go go go, minus the dialogue sections. But otherwise, there aren't any slow points. Even bosses get their own theme when you encounter them, which says that Human Entertainment made sure a lot was put into composing the music and sound effects. Just listen for yourself.
My final verdict? The Firemen is one of the best games I ever reviewed on this channel. It's very sad to see a development company like Human disappear, especially when they leave us gems like this. It's a fast-paced, action-packed thrill ride to the very end. Only thing I didn't like was the extensive dialogue that halted the flow of action. Despite that, the Fireman gets marks across the board for being a good game. I'm going to be straightforward. You need to get this game and play it. Thank you for watching my review of The Firemen. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give me a like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.